Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Marcus Watts, and today we're going to be talking about all things holistic health and his healing journey, all things like gut health, fasting, raw foods, exercise, mindset. We're going to dig into it all hopefully. And if anyone's watching this on YouTube, you'll see that Marcus is super healthy looking, super vibrant, and I'll put on screen now some pictures of his physique and into his fitness, and he looks healthy, which is always good when you're talking about health. So yeah, um, but it wasn't always like this for you, Marcus, was it? Like at one stage, I was looking back, I saw like you had acne, fatigue, bloating, things like that. So how did you first like get into this health journey? How did you first make these healthier changes and kind of reverse those symptoms?
First of all, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Um, so, what initially started it, I would say, is the pandemic of 2020, COVID. At that time period, that really gave me a wake up, and most of that came from the media, where it just didn't align with me. All the fear and
Mm,
being here in LA, um, the fear that rippled through the city itself. A lot of people um, just falling into or giving into that fear. I was one of the ones. I'm like, they're telling me to stay inside. I need to walk. We need to walk the dog. You know what I mean? Like, any excuse to get outside was like my thing, because I knew intuitively that one, I don't get sick. Like, that's kind of the mantra that I've told myself, as well as what my parents instilled in me in a early age. So, and also when they we've had multiple um, flus in the past, and every time I approached it the same way. I said, "Oh, okay, I'm good. I'll be fine." Like, I'm healthy, right? Like a lot of people, I'm healthy. I mean, I think the mindset part of this whole journey in general is a huge part of it.
mm,
To believe that you are healthy, um, and so that curiosity, I was like, "All right, let me protect myself the best that I can." And maybe I'll back up a little bit, because um, it as I reflect more about my journey, I realize that it's kind of been a gradual unfolding
mm,
of sorts. Um, I think years prior, around maybe 2018, 2019, I started just incorporating more organic foods into my lifestyle instead of the conventional stuff, which I'm a pretty big guy. So in the past, I used to eat just enormous amounts of stuff, conventional, right? Oh, I'm hungry. I need to grab
yeah,
8 pounds of this and this and this. But when I started shifting it to the organic, I realized, one, I have more energy. Two, I don't have to eat as much, which saves me money in the long term, in the long
yeah,
run. Um, so then fast forward to 2020, that curiosity came up, and I just, I noticed that shift of energy between worse quality food to more quality food. And I wanted to know why. I was in that curiosity place again. I keep using that word a lot, because I think that's a very important thing when shifting into a lifestyle, is being curious about something.
mm,
Um, and during that time as well, I was transitioning out of listening to the major mainstream kind of stuff. I love rap, I love hip hop and all that. But in that time, I had a mindset and thinking of, I want to add things to me. I want to listen to things to add to my life, that I can actually share with others too. So I switched from the regular Billboard top 40 kind of songs to listening to podcasts, watching documentaries, audiobooks, and that just started shifting my mind and opening it a lot more. And some of the documentaries that led me to that more discovery later in the year, because I shifted about September of 2020, where I made a decision. I think I was watching like Forks Over Knives, Cowspiracy, and then when we got to September 2020, I watched Game Changers. And Game Changers opened me up big time because I've grown up playing basketball and sports, been always pretty active guy, working out. I was in the gym for a few years, period of time. And to see other athletes thriving on just plants alone really intrigued me and got me so curious. And it wasn't just the average athlete either. It was Olympians, it was NFL players, it was NBA players, it was college athletes. And that really stuck out to me. And I'm like, okay, I kind of have nothing but time right now during this lockdown. And the benefits to me really stood out. The recovery, the better sleep, some of the studies that they had, presented, intrigued me as well. So
Yeah,
I think I watched that. I think I watched that on a Wednesday, and then I'm like, all right, next Monday, I'm gonna shift. I'm just gonna go. And at that time, I don't know how it all pieced itself together, but I was following this woman on Instagram. I am surviving vegan. I forgot her first name off the top of my head, but I was seeing her content too, and it was more like in your face, like meat's gonna do this to you and this, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But I was already starting to be open, so I didn't shut it off. I actually watched it. I think that's a big thing too, is a lot of times when we're not like open, you just scroll past, you click off because you're like, oh, I don't want to know about that. Ignorance is bliss, So that Monday, or actually leading to that Monday, I had a buddy that lived down the street, and I was like, dude, I'm thinking about doing this cleanse that the I'm Surviving Vegan lady is proposing. It was a 10-day detox cleanse. It's all things you buy at the grocery store, herbs, microgreens, greens, lentil soups. It kind of changed each day. I said, dude, you down? He's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, all right, cool. So I started on that Monday. He started on the Tuesday, and we started going. During that time, I deep dove even more into documentaries, YouTube videos or seminars or TED Talks from the past, and I watched Need to Grow, Kiss the Ground, What the Health, and that one really opened me up too. I was like, wow, this is nuts. And all that helped reinforce a reason why I can do it amongst a cleanse like cold turkey, if you will. It's pretty cold turkey. Yeah. I just said Monday I'm going. And so we get to day 5 for him, day 6 for me. And he called me up and he's like, hey bro, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I think I want to quit. I said, bro, we're right there. We're just at the halfway point. We can do it. He's like, nah, I'm good. I think I want to go back. And so I was like, I don't want to do this alone in my head, but at the same time, I wanted to move. But I decided, all right, I feel you. This was really challenging. Um, and so that evening, I went over to his house and we made like, it was kind of like rice bowl kind of thing, Buddha bowl, if you will,
Hmm.
but had shrimp in it. And after I ate that, I immediately, like 20 minutes later, that's not immediate, but 20 minutes later, my stomach was like bugging. I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I'm not vibing with this. I can feel it. Like, I haven't felt like this in a long time. And so the next day, I said, you know what? I'm gonna continue this plant-based vegan journey, but I'm not gonna be too like strict on myself, not too crazy. I'm just gonna incorporate more. And I had a long-term outlook thinking, okay, if it took me 29 years of eating a certain way, a lot of meat, a lot of eggs, processed food here and there, I had a relatively health. I knew it was healthy being in the athletic world in a way. I have to say in a way because it's still where I'm at now compared to where I was not
Yeah,
healthy at all.
there's levels.
Like
Yeah.
it's way different. Um, but I would incorporate veggies and you know rice and stuff. You know the typical bro workout meals: chicken, rice, broccoli.
Yeah.
But I liked. I had a pretty diverse palate because I liked food. I like food. Um, so that I noticed when I did that a little less of the in the super cleanse mode or detox mode. I was enjoying it because I was looking forward to different dishes and things that I saw on Instagram. I started following a bunch of plant-based vegan people and just kind of saturating myself with that lifestyle. And I mean, a few weeks went by and I just noticed like a lot less inflammation in my face. My skin started to glow more. I started encountering with people that would say like, I love your energy. Like, there's something like you're glowing or something. And I'm like, oh, okay. I knew deep down, I'm like, okay, what was the main thing that's changed here? It's like the foods that I'm putting in, the life force that I'm putting in. Now, in that time, I was eating more cooked foods, but I do, I was eating a lot of smoothies too. So the life force in that. Um, and then soon, a few months later, one of my friends noticed my Instagram. Throughout the pandemic, I was posting positive things. Get outside, get some sunlight, breathe. At that time, I was breathing like the Wim Hof method.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I was super, super into that practice. And then grounding. I had discovered grounding. I had discovered uh, barefoot shoes to widen your toes. So I bought those toe spacers. I got barefoot shoes and everything was like coming at me. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do it all right now. Ooh, I was also watching a huge piece of my transition from the beginning of that year to even beyond to like now is Darren O'Lean. Because in the very beginning, I was watching Down to Earth with Zach Efron and Darren O'Lean. And some of their episodes really like kind of open me up in a fun way.
Hmm.
When they talk about water, when they talk about like these eco villages in Costa Rica and all these little things, I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And Darren O'Lean has a podcast on uh, Apple Music, Spotify, all that stuff. And so I was listening to that, and he had a very diverse amount of guests that came on. Someone talk about water, someone talk about the barefoot shoes. And when I would hear something, and I'm like, they back it up with certain science or their story that they were this way and then that happened. I'm like, okay, it sounds like something I got to implement in my life, you know? And so coming back to that curiosity part, it's like I was just so curious and open because I just wanted to equip myself amongst, a time of emergency and chaos, and know that I'm going to be okay regardless.
Mm.
So then, yeah, a few months later, my friend had reached out to me and she said, "Hey, I noticed like a lot of things have changed with like your Instagram. It's, like what's going on in your life? We haven't caught up in a while." And she was someone who was a friend of mine since 2017. For those of you that don't know who I am also or what I do, I model and do commercial acting. So my friend met me on set. And that particular day, I drove us both to the shoot in Malibu. And at that time of my life in 2017, I had McDonald's wrappers in the car. I had like little snacks in the cubby holes that were not healthy. And she's been in the holistic world for a while, and she just kind of bit her tongue and didn't really say much. But so she saw that aspect of me, and then saw me now posting about grounding and sunlight and breath work and eat blueberries, high antioxidants and all that. So we started talking, and around that time as well, I was heavily looking into the quality of the soil, especially here in the U.S., and that it's so pesticide ridden that it's affecting our guts, and that the health of our soil is pretty much a direct representation of the gut soil quality that we have. And knowing that they're spraying glyphosate and all these agrochemicals on everything, it's no wonder why there's so much leaky gut, there's so much brain fog, inflammation, all these things. And I had no idea. I was watching Dr. Zach Bush a lot at that time. So I told her all these things, and she said, "Oh, I might have something that'll align perfectly with you. It's a superfood community, and we're all about gut health, quality food, regenerative, organic, raw living foods, utilizing herbs and these other plants to really help boost the system and detox, nourish, regenerate the system." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that sounds really cool." And so they have a program. At the time, it was about 30 days, and it's now extended to 90. But I decided to give it a try because of the real raw living components in it and the detox. I'd never done a parasite cleanse to that point before. And me, as in general, if I like align with something, I kind of go fast into the extremes of it, or not extremes, but the higher ends of it. So they had 3 different eating schedules to incorporate the superfoods in with your lifestyle. So I chose the middle one. It was called the accelerated schedule, and it was like add some superfoods for 10 days. On the next 10 days, you add in the parasite herbs, but you schedule, or you eat it every 2 hours. You'll do this thing 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours throughout the day. So it's kind of like a lower, like I don't know how to say it. What is that? A fast? Not really a fast, but it was like, it wasn't really intermittent either, but it was like time restricted periods.
Mm.
Anyway.
And what kind of herbs and superfoods were they? Like spirulina? What kind of
Spirulina, alfalfa grass, wheatgrass, barley grass. What else do they have in there? Some other like chia seeds, some other healthy fat, grasses, herbs, seeds.
Hmm.
Parasite cleanse had clove, black walnut hull, amalaki fruit, senna leaf, and cascara sagrada.
Hmm.
Um, there's also a pre and probiotic that I call it a superbiotic that is clinically proven to remove glyphosate out of your gut in 6 weeks, 75% of it, which that was a huge number that I was like, whoa, okay. And at the same time, it lowers C-reactive protein by 74.5%. I'm like, okay. Um, and then some tart cherry juice as well at night to help with inflammation, deep
Hmm.
restful sleep. So when I got after the first day, I was like, whoa, okay, I feel something with this stuff. And fast forward to the parasite cleanse part of it, which was the every 2 hours, right? That period of time was very, I went in more with myself because parasites are, they are demons. That's how I see it. You know, they don't want to leave you.
Mm.
I remember in that time, there was a few times I wanted to just quit or eat, but I was very strict with myself at that time too. I feel like there's times to be strict and be like, all right, let's just get there. I want the end result. So let's just follow the guide. I know if I follow the guide, it's going to be great. And I did. I dug down, 10 toes down, and then on the other side you incorporate foods back in. But on the other side of it, after releasing, and I wasn't at that time, I wasn't looking for parasites in the toilet or anything like that. I wasn't at that stage of my journey yet. But I noticed a big shift. It seemed like the colors are brighter, my smell was better, my taste was much more like
Hmm.
acute. I can taste things more. Certain things that I liked before I didn't like anymore, mainly processed. But at the same time, with that, I didn't eat so many processed during the plant-based, like candies and stuff. I learned so much information about the red dyes and all these things that they're adding in there. I'm like, nope. It's like when I label that thing that's bad, that's poison, I'm like, all right, let's kick it out.
Yeah.
Um,
So what did these things look like? We can put on screen some pictures if you have any or whatever. But did you? Yeah. What did they look like? The parasites, if you saw any.
oh, so in that time, I didn't see parasites, but
Hmm.
um, this year, when I started being more high raw,
Hmm.
consciously high raw, that's when I started seeing parasites. Hold on a second. Um, so I'll get us to that point, but
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
so after that first initial 30 days, it was more like an awakening again, and I'm like, whoa, this is like I feel like a superhuman. And during those first 30 days as well, I chose to not work out because I wanted to see what the superfoods as well as my foods would do to my body. And I believe I released around like 10 or 12 pounds of inflammation.
Hmm.
I'll send you the picture, a good picture of when I first started my vegan plant-based journey, and then a little bit after
Sure. Sure.
the work or after the cleanse and the workouts and stuff like that. So that just increased like my capacity, my energy. Um, I just saw the world a lot different. I it's funny like how fast like different information can connect to you. I started looking into some of the systems of the world. The school system, how it ties into the Western, ties into banking and all these things. And it's just very interesting that when I, I connect it, like if your gut or your system is clogged up, how can you make any connections like that, and really kind of see what's going on?
Mm.
So stayed on the superfoods. I still stay on the superfoods till now. Uh, and it's always been an unfolding over the last 4 years of, okay, is this better? Maybe I should try this. Maybe I should try that. But this year, 2024, when I consciously chose to do a parasite cleanse the first bit of January, because I know that we are not taught in the States to do parasite cleansing at all, right? I think most people should do parasite cleanse minimum twice a year, just to like keep the system fresh. So although I was plant-based and all my friends and things, oh, you're so healthy, like why would you need to parasite cleanse? It's like the maintenance. There's parasites everywhere. I learned from Yaki Awakened this year that the body pleomorphosizes its own parasites if it needs to, it blew my mind. I was like, wow, that's so intelligent. First of all, the body's so intelligent, and yeah, why would it not, right? If it had stuff that was blocking the system and it needed to create some entities to move that out. So anyway, parasite cleanse January. I was learning about the raw food kind of community and things. I was listening to Dr. Robert Morris a lot, Professor Spira on the mucusless diet side, and kind of listened to a few different camps or ideologies. And I thought, okay, I feel like raw or higher raw isn't going to be too much of a jump, because if you're being more conscious person in general, you kind of gravitate towards more raw living anyway. Yeah, I cooked foods, but I looked back over the last 2 years, even I was eating primarily smoothies, like most of the time. And if I had a cooked meal, it would usually be at night for dinner, maybe some curries and stuff like that. So I thought this parasite cleanse would probably be even better if I did it like raw food leading up to the parasite cleanse, do the parasite cleanse, primarily liquiditarian and fruits, and then see what happens. I think it was about 3-4 days into it, I looked down in the bowl and I'm like, whoa, that's a different bowel movement that I've ever seen. And like just little worms and stuff like that. And I immediately looked for something that I could like dissect or like pull them out. So I got some like Q-tips, laid out a toilet paper roll and put them on there. And then a few days later, another bigger bowel movement of them came out. And I'm like, whoa, this is on a Sunday. Right? And Sundays, I typically go to the farmer's market down the street. So I did my rising bowel movement, and hundreds of these like worms like this. I think they were flukes. Pulled them out. I was literally in front of the toilet for 90 minutes because I was so fascinated. I thought, is there going to be even bigger one in here? Like, it was crazy.
And how did you feel when you released them? Did you feel like a release in the body, or like did like something was freeing itself? Or yeah, how did you feel when you
Initially, not so much, but the visual of it, maybe it connected something like that. So after I did that discovery for 90 minutes, I walked to the farmer's market. I hadn't said anything to anybody, But everybody that I stopped to, some of my farmer friends and stuff like that, they're like, bro, there's something, you're glowing. There's something about you. And I said, interesting you say that. Because I took video, I took photos, because one, I don't see a lot of that on the internet. I'm seeing it more and more now. People are more, transparent or vocal about these entities that are within us. And so I was like, this is what what happened today. And they're like, what is that? I said, oh, I've been on a parasite cleanse. And they're like, what? That just came out of you? I'm like, yeah. Oh my gosh. And like, they're the faces of people, like certain reactions. It's super interesting. People that are accepting, like, oh man, I know I got some. I gotta do what you're doing then. Or the ones that are like, oh, don't show me, which is an interesting hypothesis that I have is when you talk about something that is uncomfortable, like parasites specifically, I think that it's the parasites that are listening to that, and they're like, no, go away. We don't want to die. We don't want you to change, because deep down the soul knows what's good. Our souls know what's good for it. We know deep down that eating Cheerios and Snickers and all this stuff is not good for us, but there's so much control that these entities can have over our habits, over the cravings that we have, which is tied into the chemicals, which is tied into the heavy metals, because that's the fuel source, or that's the food source for the parasites too. This is how I see it. They like the inflammation. They like that acidic medium as like a breeding ground. And so, yeah, you'll get this impulse to get a cookie or something. And I'm not saying all cookies are bad, because there's some really bomb raw cookies and things, but all in balance, right? Balance. I love that word too. But yeah, so after seeing those, I kind of got obsessed. I'm like, all right, so I've been raw with this. I'm going to continue being raw with this after. At that time as well, within my superfood community, there was a group of us that was heavily into fruit fasting, 5-day fruit fast. I'd never done that before. And I was up for the challenge. And I was kind of, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I wonder how this is going to be. They told us in different levels you can do it, right? It's like, okay, just incorporate all fruits. You can do the mono. You can do a couple. So the first fruit fast I did, I think it was mid-February. And that season is like citrus. So I got some oranges. And I decided to do oranges for as long as I could. I got a lot of them. But then I wanted to do at least 1 or 2 days of blueberries too, which is totally like different. Like for most people, like, what, you mono fruit on blueberries? For some reason, I wanted to do it. So I got the 2.5 days of oranges, and then on the half day I switched to blueberries, because it was just like, I don't know, I wanted a different taste, a change. So I switched to blueberries, frozen blueberries for the next 2 days. And I was so proud of myself to do it, because on the Thursday, the first day of blueberries, no, it was the Friday, sorry. The Friday, the second day of blueberries, I had a modeling gig. And for those of you that don't know, when you're on modeling sets, they got craft services, they got all the snacks. They always have either breakfast and lunch catered in. And that day, they actually had a pretty healthy choice for the catering company. And I mean, it had some bomb stuff, but I had gone to the grocery store and bought 2 18-ounce packages of blueberries to eat on set. And I just let everybody know. I was like, yeah, I'm on my 5th day of this fruit fast. I'm just eating these blueberries, and they're like, "What? How can you do that? Like, you don't want any of this? This doesn't tempt you or anything?" I'm like, I mean, I would love to eat that, but I committed to this 5 day, and I'm just gonna see it through. On last day, a few hours away, you know, and that's kind of like been my journey. It's like when I challenge myself in those ways, and I sometimes I'll fall, just like the very beginning, but I don't beat myself up too hard because it's still like steps forward. But these other kind of challenges help keep me motivated or keep me inspired to see it through, and like, how am I going to feel after? And so throughout the year, up until maybe June, we were doing every other week to every 2 weeks mono or fruit fast. So I experimented with different types of that. One of the weeks I did red, orange, yellow, green foods, um, which I learned some things like you don't want to eat unripe um, kiwis. You don't want to eat unripe, unripe or underripe pineapple.
Yeah.
It'll burn your
Burns your
tongue.
tongue. Yeah.
The kiwis, I was eating the skins and it burned my tongue or it scraped my tongue. And then I couldn't even really eat much. So I had to adapt. So I switched to blueberries at that time because it was more cooling and it didn't have that higher, like, initial acidic taste or whatnot. As we got to summer, I was doing watermelon fast because I was super excited for the summer because I knew I wanted to do a 5 day mono watermelon. I came to that challenge, got to the 5th day. I'm like, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna add 2 more days. I'm gonna keep going. I'll add another day, add another day, add another day. I did 10 days on watermelon, and it's so fun. It was awesome being in the sun a lot here in LA. It was hot. The watermelon's so refreshing. I was surprised I didn't get tired of it. Some people ask me that, "Oh, don't you get tired of these mono fruit things and stuff?" I'm like, not really. It just tastes so good and I feel so good on it. So when I make those connections, it doesn't bother me. I can eat the same thing every day if I get this feeling of energy and results from it, as well as more detox.
Hmm.
And so I had met Leticia during the summer, and she was talking about um, her water fast journeys and stuff. And I had done a few here and there, maybe throughout the last 4 years. One of them was about 2022. I think I did a 72-hour one. I felt really good after. But I hadn't done it that regularly. And so a couple months ago, I just decided intuitively, I said, you know what? Every Sunday night after my last meal, I'll cut it. I'll do a minimum of 24 hours water. Just give digestive system a rest. And usually my last meal is around 6:30, 7 p.m. So then I'm like, well, I don't really want to eat that late. So I'll just sleep it off to the next rising. And so about 36 hours. So I was doing that every Sunday for about 7 weeks. I missed a week, and that was the week right before the American Thanksgiving. But in my head, I was like, okay, I want to do the 7 day water fast starting December 1st. And again, all these things kind of intuitively came of like, okay, let's just try it now. I want to start on the beginning of the month because then it's far enough away from Christmas. It's far enough away from the new year that, I have some experience. And then going forward, I can implement however I want from it. So last week, or actually yesterday, I broke my fast from a 7 day water fast. And I was surprised how I fared it. It wasn't too it wasn't too much difficulty, I'd say. Like, I was kind of coming into it, I was expecting I was going to cry or something, like through it emotionally and things, but I was pretty even keel most of the days. Um, I used mineral spring water. I got a few bottles from the grocery store, some mountain spring. But then I realized, okay, I mean, these bottles are like $3 a pop, so I don't know if I could do this. Like, really, it's not as sustainable financially to do this throughout the whole week. So, um, the other days I did RO water, and I just
Hmm.
added a few drops of some minerals in there because I didn't want it to be blank. And I didn't know the best way to do it. I hear some people do distilled throughout the process. Some people do mineral water throughout the process. Like, as a first time long duration, I said, you know what, I'm not going to be too hard on myself either. The first day, I had some Heal All tea, the first breakfast and mid morning or mid rising uh, drinks. But then that day I talked to Leticia. I said, "What do you think about this?" And she's like, "I think you should maybe just do water." And I'm like, "All right, I'll stop the herbs." And allowed the water to do its thing. Um, I think throughout the whole 7 days, the most challenging thing is seeing all the raw meals and the
Yeah.
smoothie bowls and the delicacies on social media or even just around town here, like thinking of those things of like, oh man, I can't wait for that. I can't wait to experience that. That was probably the some of the hardest thing. I did notice sometimes when if I was sitting down from a longer period of time, and this happened more so for day 4, 5, 6, 7. If I got up too fast, I got a little woozy or lightheaded. Kind of lost my footing here and there, but I quickly just centered myself, started breathing like slower, deeper, and then it recalibrated itself. I don't know what that is, but I think it might have just been just toxins being moved. Um, and I put myself into a few situations or environments that would challenge me. On the last day, my friend had a little birthday gathering, and that was even another level because most of the folks were drinking, and this is my first full year from a long time of being alcohol free. So I'm not, I have never been addicted to it, but just the lifestyle, the environment. I've been more
Yeah.
of a social drinker in the past. But that part didn't bother me at all, and even the food didn't bother me because I'm like, oh, I'm just one sleep away to break my fast yesterday, and I broke it with some juice. I wanted to reintroduce some, high vibe energy slowly and not have to digest as heavy, break down heavy things. Um, but during the fast, I did a hike. I did a couple workouts here and there, nothing too crazy. But a lot of the time, I was chilling though. I know there's some folks that talk about keep your body moving and stuff. I totally agree with that. And so I did my best every day to at least walk or just move or stretch or something. But being that first one long, I'm like, I'm gonna allow myself to rest more so than anything. Um,
Mm.
so
And
yeah,
what benefits did you experience from the fast? Like, yeah, any revelations or anything like that?
'Cause, uh, I would say my, resilience muscle strengthen, the discipline muscle strengthen, the ability to say no to things when offered things, and being okay with either like sharing the process that I'm in or reserving the process I'm in, deciphering who, you know, who would be able to maybe receive the message versus just like, oh, what? Like you're crazy or something. Even though that doesn't really bother me much. Like, oh, compassion for others increased even more too. Because I don't know, I was just more connected with myself when you're not having to digest stuff, but still be alive. Some people believe that if you go without food for more than 24 hours, you're gonna die. Like, and some of the people that I was talking to at the party were like, whoa, I don't know how you could do it. They're like, oh, I've done 24, but 7 days. Like, are you okay? Like, what's going on and stuff? Are you tired or anything? I'm like, I'm feeling good. I mean, I'm here, like, I'm good. There's some times that were higher energy than others, but I linked whenever I might have felt lower energy, I just process it like my body's processing toxins. This vessel is such a beautiful mechanism that, so intelligent, and when it has to work on some stuff, or when it gets the opportunity to work on stuff, when it doesn't have to, digest food all day, like, I'm sure there's some things that need more energy than others. So just being okay with the ebbs and flows of it. There was some times that I'm like, oh man, like, should I just stop? But I did it with a friend, so that helped too. I'm like, no, she's going hard, I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna go throughout the whole thing, because now we get to talk about it. We lived, so that's a huge marker for those people that think you can't. And trying to think, like, any other revelations. I would say, well, first of all, I released about 19 pounds
Wow.
in the week, which was pretty interesting. Like, I think it's a lot of inflammation. Yeah, there might have been some muscle lost, but I look at any of the things that were released as, okay, maybe it wasn't as quality, you know what I mean? Maybe it wasn't as high quality tissue, so it had to release, the weak. I don't even know if that's the right term, weaker. I don't like really using that term much, because there's so much power in our words, right? But but now, I was telling a friend this yesterday, now I have a foundation that's much more solid. I can absorb more and utilize the foods that I put in. I'm conscious of even more conscious of the foods that I'm putting into my body, and then pair that with just breaking down the tissue, doing calisthenics or working out. I know that I will build muscle much more quickly and more efficiently. And I've seen that, like that. Okay, let me go back to the raw or the high raw versus cooked. But even greater, we can even say, like, even when I was first being vegan, like, I noticed putting on muscle was less sore. My recovery was way faster, and I was really strong. You could scroll down to my page and see I was deadlifting. When I was going to the gym a lot, I was deadlifting like 397 for 6 reps, like, still super lean. I was like 185 or something. People in the gym were like, how are you doing that? Look at you. Like, how are you doing that? I'm like, I'm telling you, it's the plants. and then shift that to the more raw, just faster recovery, better sleep, even better than just the vegan and the plant-based, cooked. And yeah, it's just so contrasty compared to where I was in the past. And I'm so thankful that I had the fortitude to keep going, the long-term vision of, all right, if I know that our whole body, it takes 7 years basically to recirculate all the cells. The cleaner foods that I put in, the cleaner material that I have, the cleaner my body will be. It'll be just interesting how I will be constructed, or how I will be in 7 years. So we're 4 years into it last September, and I really don't see any deviation going back. And then pair that with even the ethical part, the vegan side of it, like the connection to the animals and learning about how those systems, or those big, food companies process these sentient beings. It bothers me. Like, I could be around people. Obviously, we're always going to be around people that consume those things, and to, lead with love and not judgment to it, because I was that way before. I was eating 8 eggs every breakfast. I was eating pounds of ground turkey and chicken and this and that and this and that. And when I let go of those things, the inflammation went away. The bad acne went away, and that. And I think about where I am now. I think about all the past. I'm like, man, if I knew this lifestyle back then, it would have been so different. But I'm not mad at the journey. But it's just, you could place yourself like, wow, if I had this in high school, I would not have the pepperoni pizza face acne that I had. There's no way. There wouldn't be those times when I was on the basketball court and so tired out of nowhere, these spurts of energy. Now pair that, the way we breathe, and so is so important too. I didn't know how to breathe right. Breathing through the mouth, playing these, high intense activities, you're going to burn yourself out real quick. All these different like modalities of how we're supposed to live, like the human is supposed to experience life, is so important, in my opinion, to be open to learning, because it just makes your life better.
Yeah, and ultimately all these things, they happen for us, even though like the knowledge at the time would have been nice. It happens for us, and we learn from these things, and it's continually evolving. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But people might be wondering, like, what does a typical day of eating look like for you? Like, obviously it varies, but yeah, like a typical day.
Yeah, so it varies during different seasons of life. It's interesting now because, like for instance, yesterday, breaking the water fast, I had a cucumber, celery, green apple juice, and then I had one of our superfood shakes. It's called Power Shake, and it's all the spirulina, the wheatgrass, and all this stuff. And then I went to the farmer's market, picked up some persimmons for the week.
Delicious.
Oh my gosh. I just found persimmons really this year, and I cannot get enough. Literally. I'll have to buy like 4 pounds. I can crush 4 pounds in like a day or two, like easy. So then what did I do yesterday? I did a workout, and then after the workout, I actually ate a persimmon on my drive home, 2 persimmons. And so then I ate some dates, but I didn't really eat too much. That evening, I had like a cucumber Mediterranean type salad, a lot of huge tomatoes, cucumber, a little bit of onions, which I actually smell myself. It's coming out of my pores still right now. I don't eat so much onion sometimes in raw salads and stuff, but typically start off more liquid or fruit. Um, Most of my day is liquid. Like I'll do a bigger smoothie midday, 12, 1, 2. Kind of depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing a hike or a workout, that time might extend out a little bit. And then in the evening, just depending, like I am so happy with making a smoothie, but then I'll sometimes be in the mood to eat a salad, make a bomb raw salad, homemade dressing, the whole nine. Get some microgreens, spiralize or shave the cucumbers into fun, shapes, different texture styles and things. I haven't really got so complex with the raw foods. If I do that, I go out to get it most of the time. And a big factor in that is because it just takes more time. Like
Yeah.
for me, it's so easy to just pick up a orange or an apple and eat a few of those, or eat some celery, make some hummus real quick or something. Like I like I like the fast food of the raw foods, right?
Mm.
Um, and yeah, and then at night I'll drink some tea throughout here and there. But I'm pretty simple for the most part. It don't doesn't take so much time, especially that's why I like the smoothies. I could get a smoothie made in like 10 minutes or less, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's the beauty of this lifestyle. Like you say, it's nature's fast food.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm quite a lazy guy as well. Like that's why it's so good because it's good for our body. And yeah, I don't want to be spending hours in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I hear a lot of people, and a lot of people who have that kind of glowing skin like you do, they seem to be big on like juicing and more like liquids. Like, do you find like it digests easier as well for you? Like it's a bit, you have a bit more energy, and yeah, like would you say that's quite a big part of your lifestyle, like the juicing
Yeah.
or
Yes,
liquids, should I say?
yes.
Yeah.
I'd say liquids. I mean, I juice more now.
Hmm.
But I I've really been a smoothie guy. Smoothie, and I'll put a bunch of different, adaptogens and superfoods in there. Obviously, you got the base, right? You got to have some dates, you got to have some blueberries, some mango here and there, some strawberries. To change up the flavors, profiles. But I think in this coming year, I'm gonna experiment more. I always like experimenting with different things. I get so much inspiration from the collective because everyone's showing what they're eating and how they're making, you know, their different um, foods. And I mean, smoothie bowls right now are like high on my priority list of making, even in the winter. Like last night, my aunt asked me, she's like, don't you ever like crave warm, like I know you're raw, but like more high raw, but like warm kind of foods? And I said, yeah, but I also don't mind putting on a jacket and drinking a smoothie if it's that cold. But that's why I live here in Southern California, because it's warm most of the time. I mean,
Yeah.
but it gets cold, and it's a different type of cold. If you've ever, for those of you that and it gets kind of like bone cold, and but it's labeled 50 something degrees or 8 degrees or something like that. Um, but yeah, I do some cooked foods here and there, like, and usually I'll pair it with some bigger salad to help room it, um, or even some steamed vegetables. Like I'm still on the transition period, and I realize from reading the mucusless diet healing system, Arnold Ehret, and listening to Professor Spirit too, like the transition is beneficial. It is.
Mm.
It's not, I would say it's not only, which is super important for your body system to transition out and not shock it, but just even for yourself, because there's so many beautiful looking and creative cooked vegan meals. Like, and I think that it's cool to enjoy the process. Now, if you feel called to jump higher and be more raw or more fruitarian because you feel good, that's great. But not everybody has that vision for themselves yet. So to allow their, especially now in 2024, there's so many more options. Now I know each region is different. I'm so thankful and grateful that LA has a lot more, like especially raw vegan restaurants, or even alkaline or organic, like the consciousness is expanding and rising. And the more people that are intrigued or curious about, oh, okay, I heard about this place, it starts opening themselves up to trying something different that can shift their life and their whole bloodline ultimately, you know and for those that are on the fence, like I used to be dead stop, there's no way I was going to be vegan. And I'll share this story. Earlier this month or this year, I was just scrolling through my Instagram, and for some reason it was popping up like super old messages from like 2015, 2016, 2017. I'm like, what was I saying back then? I was looking through. There's this one girl that had reached out to me, and she was like, hey, like, there's somebody using your images, and this guy I've been talking to, I thought was you, like scammed me or catfished me or something. I just want to let you know, and I'm thankful that I actually found the real you. And I said, whoa, that's crazy. I'm so sorry. And then she asked me, can I ask you a question? Sure. She said, are you vegan by chance? This is 2017. I wrote in the text, never will I ever, in all caps, be vegan. And so I am a perfect example that you can change. Anybody can change if I can change. Where I was so like, that ain't it. To now, like the higher end, and fruitarian days, fruitarian weeks here and there, like, yeah.
Yeah, we've all been there. I think I was the same. I can't remember any specific moments, but like my sister went vegan like, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, and I remember like joking and laughing and like just saying like, oh no, I could never do that. I love meat too much and things like that. But
Right.
yeah, then you went full circle, and yeah,
Mhm.
like you say, at times in your life you're not always receptive to certain information, but then there comes a point where your mind is kind of open and slightly receptive, and then it just clicks. It just makes sense. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think like you say, yeah, it's like gradual, and I think I like what you said there about more of a gradual transition. I agree too, especially
Mhm.
like mentally. I think
Yeah.
mentally it can be damaging. Like if you jump in, just like I don't know, you want to be a fruitarian overnight, and then you go full circle and you feel guilty. I think, yeah, just being kind to yourself, like
Yeah.
you say. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's something else I wanted to ask you, just more about like the mental side and any habits you have for like staying upbeat, because you strike me as someone who's like really positive and good mindset. So yeah, how do you cultivate that? And if you got any tips for anyone, maybe?
Sure. Just speaking more kindly to yourself is a great start. You can start to notice. It's interesting listening to people. You start to notice how they speak out loud is how they speak to themselves a lot of time. And I've been more positive minded most of my life. Thank my parents. Thank God. Uh, and so I typically have been the person to catch people, and I'm like, no, don't say that about yourself. You know, anything that follows I am is. So if you're saying you are tired, you are dumb, you are lazy, these things, you're confirming that to
Mm.
yourselves. No, you don't consciously, you may not consciously think that, but the subconscious is always listening to it. And over time, that habit, you build that habit. If you aren't correcting yourself, or no one carefrontations you to say, oh, what if you said it this way instead? Where it's not directing it to yourself is a big thing. Now, I'm not perfect. There's times too where doubts come in and things like that, like for little things. But whenever I can become conscious of that pattern and shift it right away in the moment, I think that is important. Because now you're conscious, okay, I'm aware that I said this thing, and now I'm going to reverse it and say the other thing. Now that can take some time, depending on how often you use that phrase or that thing and say those things about yourself. Or and then another thing that I would say is the curiosity thing. You look at children, they're so curious and just like down to play and imagine. And I think as we mature and get into our adulthood, yeah, there are responsibilities and things that we have as adults compared to children, but it doesn't mean that we have to lose that childlike essence of ourselves. Um, I see myself like as a grown child of sorts. I'll still go out on the playground. I'll swing on some swings and stuff. Like, I, it's kind of the idea of I don't want to lose that. That was such a fun like feeling when I was growing up, and I'm not currently dating anyone. I'm single right now, but when I decide to start a family, I want to be able to swing on the swings and run with them in the swim in the ocean and be an active father, because the most people see it a different way. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to get old and gray, walking around and having pain. It's like the main reason why that's happening is the habits. So starting early as you can really help quality of life as time moves on. And that if you keep that young, I think youthfulness comes from your spirit of like just how you embrace life. If you just walk around with a pep in your step, like you can't help but be more happy, because then others see it and they start skipping or they start dancing, and that ripple effect happens. And I think that energy, you can get fed by that alone. you know they say, and laugh often. They say laughter is one of the best medicines out there. And there's so much, there's a lot of negativity still in the the earth, the society. But I think the more that we can laugh, the more that we can play, will ultimately keep us younger, keep us feeling more vibrant and happy. And then pair that in with the foods, pair that in with breathing correctly, and fixing your posture and things. That all creates that alignment.
Mm,
I get
definitely.
long-winded sometimes, so sorry.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I think that childlike curiosity is so important. Like you say, that's what I've noticed with a lot of like people who seem to age really well. They never lose that sense of play and yeah, joy for life. I think it's important. And yeah, I think there's plenty of time for you to find a lady as well. What are you,
Yeah,
33 years young?
33
34?
years young.
Yeah. Yeah, if any ladies are out there, maybe drop a comment. I do charge a matchmaker's fee though, so
We gotta get Dillon his commissions there.
Yeah, but but yeah, I'm just getting conscious of the time. So if you want, we'll dive into some rapid fire questions
Let's
to
do it.
close.
Let's do it.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, the idea is just to answer as quickly as possible. But if you need more time, feel free to elaborate. And yeah, go as deep as you want. Um, so yeah, what is your favorite fruit?
Oh man, that's
Tough one.
hard. That
Yeah.
is really hard. Mm, I'll say dates.
Yeah, they're a good staple.
Yeah.
Describe yourself in one word.
Mm, I'd say positive.
What is one book that everyone needs to read?
Oh gosh, that. Mm, can I give you two?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. I
even
think
better.
I think a great book for like transitioning is the mucus society healing system, and not just for concepts to apply.
Mm,
Uh, and then I think some type of mindset book, or you could even do, let's say, Atomic Habits is a good one.
yeah,
You know,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Mm. Let's be the best authentic you that you can be.
Nice. What are three things that you can't live without?
Sunlight, breathing, and a, a loving community.
Mm, awesome. Yeah, I'm missing the sun at the minute. it's, it's cold here in the UK. What's your greatest strength and what's your biggest weakness?
I think my greatest strength is to it's listening and connecting with people. I think I think the weak what's a better word for weakness? I'm gonna find it. I'll text you
Mm,
sometime. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Opportunity for growth.
Yeah, let's
A
use that
good,
one. Opportunity for growth. That's good. That's good. Is knowing when to back off from helping someone when they don't want to help themselves. It's like it's what is it? The being the fifth, being the 49% for someone. They have to be 51 for themselves.
mm,
But the opposite can start to burn you out when you're like, come on, you got it.
yeah.
I know you got it.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I think
Yeah,
we often want to solve everyone's problems. We feel like we got the solutions, but like you say, some people are just not receptive at that moment in time.
yeah.
Um, do you believe in having a purpose? If so, what's your purpose in life?
Mm. I think your purpose in life, or yeah, I think the purpose in life is always unfolding. Like as you keep growing, more pieces to the puzzle come for you, or at least in my experience. And I think my purpose is to raise the vibration of every room that I step in.
Mm, awesome. And finally, what are you grateful for today?
Mm. I'm grateful for this conversation, although it seemed like it was more of a monologue. My apologies if it goes back and forth. I just I love connecting with conscious individuals like yourself, Dylan, and just so many more people are becoming more conscious of their decisions in life. And I think it's the movement into consciousness that then, with the healthier habits or the healthier mindset or way of life, can turn into uh, an automatic drive that now the whole world is, you know, more kind to each other. So yeah, they're very grateful for this time invested with you.
That's a good way of framing it. I like that. Yeah. Likewise, I appreciate your time as well. And yeah, where can the people get in touch with you? What have you got going on?
Yeah,
All your links and things.
for sure. Well, I'm mainly on Instagram, so you can find me at Marcus Watts with the Z, and I'm sure there'll be some more unfolding. I've been contemplating the maybe the YouTube route a little bit. I also have a TikTok. It's currently in the building stage. Marcus Watts with the Z again. And yeah, just shoot me a DM if you have any questions on the lifestyle or would like any guidance. I help guide people through 90-day protocols utilizing superfoods to restore the gut, help inflammation, fatigue, energy, build muscle, connective tissue, you name it, really. But just really helping supply the body with the micronutrients that we're missing from the soils because of all the pesticides and the conventional farming methods. And yeah, I'm here. I'm an open resource.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm sure people will get in touch. And yeah, any single ladies as well.
Hey.
But yeah, I appreciate your time, brother, and I appreciate everyone if you listen this far. And yeah, everyone, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Peace and love.
Peace.